business has identified that they want to have multiple PA setup or multiple PG setup. Now, how do they go about it, or what are, let's say, the challenges which are there in getting that sort of a setup ready?
See, that checkout screen is where CAC, customer acquisition cost, translates into real revenue for a company. So you would want to enforce as much trust as possible on that page.
Hey everyone, today we have Nitish and Mohan with us, and we are going to talk about some of the key payment challenges that the industry faces and what are some of the solutions that can help navigate those challenges and move towards the growth trajectory. Hey folks.
Hi, Pragya.
Good.
Hi. So the very first question would be that initially in the early days, we were solving for the payment challenges of the large enterprises, right? What led to our involvement with the SME sector? Was it always a planned venture that we will get into this eventually, or what did it arise from the emerging business needs?
Okay, I'll take this. I think,
Yeah.
see, yes, over the last decade, I think Juspay has spent a lot of time in building enterprise grade products, whether it is a highly scalable and reliable UPI stack, or whether it is, a reliable payments orchestration platform. And by the nature of these products, they are in general enterprise first, right? But what happened in the last 2 3 years is we started seeing that, okay, the small and medium sector and companies also starting to feel the need towards going to a multi PG setup,
Hmm.
right? They wanted to move from that, okay, that I have, instead of having just one payment aggregator, I want multiple, primarily because they wanted to shock proof themselves against any technological volatility or any regulatory volatility that may come. So essentially, and when there is a movement towards this multi PG, right, there are problems that come with it, and due to which these small and medium sized enterprises started looking for orchestration solutions like that, like the ones that Juspay was providing to enterprise merchants. And see, it is needed for fundamental needs, like having a good router means I can route payments to intelligently to the right payment aggregator. I can maybe have a good unified checkout experience. So all these needs from this segment propelled us to say that, okay, we should build something and we should interact with them, because earlier it was not a need for them, but now since they've started moving towards that, so we should start building or provide a product.
Got it. So you used one term, right? So just for the understanding, what typically is a scale for us SME versus a large enterprise? And another question would be, what do you mean by orchestration?
Okay, so
So before going into that, right, I'll just add on to what you had just previously, Nitish, also mentioned. So there was an organic need of, like, these companies which were coming in the last few years, right, post the COVID era and all. They set a very high bar for experience across their entire checkout process, from their app to the payments experience as well. So like Nitish said, while when we were doing it only for enterprise payments, these smaller companies or the relevant, relatively new startups thought of a good payment stack as a luxury, but then it started becoming a necessity. And when it's a necessity, they wanted it, a good payment stack from day zero of going live.
Okay.
Like, we've had companies like Zepto who post their PMF and all, when they launched their first big bang launch, when they went live with us, so they had that good payments and they've had that future in that mind. Okay, when I scale, my payment should be good.
Hmm.
So from day zero they went with that, and that is what we thought, okay, there will be more companies like that who will value that high bar which we provide in terms of payments and all. Yeah.
Got it. So in a way, COVID really helped us, and in fact, the merchants to understand that this is going to be my need.
Yeah. Yeah.
But while we were planning, while as a business, I was planning maybe for say a quarter away from now. Uh, with all of the things moving digital, it becomes the need of the hour at
yes,
the moment.
Correct.
Got
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
right.
Got it. So okay, now coming back to the two terms,
Yes.
how do you typically define a SME or a large enterprise here, and what is the term orchestration
Okay.
meaning?
I think this term regarding SME versus large will be very different across various
Hmm.
companies
Hmm.
itself.
Hmm.
I mean, for us, it will be around 30 to 50 crore monthly GMV. Any merchant who is doing this amount, we think that, okay, they are mid-sized enterprises, because earlier, as I said, right, like for them, the core business was the primary focus. And now, as they have gone to that GMV level, 30 to 50 crores, right now they have started thinking that okay, I need to fill. And then small, I would say that okay, anything below 30 crore GMV, well, I will say that okay, we consider them as small. And as I said, I would like to qualify that okay, this is again very different for
Correct.
each company.
Yeah.
Like banks will have their own definition, PAs will have their own.
Right.
And I think there was second part to that question, right,
Yeah,
regarding
like
payment orchestration.
orchestration, like the term orchestration.
Okay.
What do you
I think
exactly mean?
prior to that, I would take a stab at what is multi PG,
Yeah, I
which
was
is
coming up to
Yeah.
that, but
because
fine. Yeah.
that is what leads to the need of orchestration in the
Hmm.
first place, right? See, I think as I was mentioning earlier, right, multi PG is essentially, see, when a company is starting,
Hmm.
uh, all they need is to accept payments from their customers. And say a digital website or app is starting and they need to accept, they need a company or a suite of product which can allow them or aggregate the available payment options, right, which is UPI, credit card, debit card, net banking, wallets, any other reward platforms, whatever is available in the market. And that is what is named as payment aggregator.
Hmm.
They aggregate and provide an aggregated product to the merchant, right?
Businesses, yeah.
So when a company is in their PMF stage, right, they generally need this aggregator. Now, a PMF is done. When you're starting to grow, you know that okay, your product is ready to scale. With that scale, you do not want to just limit yourself to one aggregator. That's when you start thinking about future, that okay, now I'm going to scale. It's not just 1 to 10 anymore, but it is 10 to 1000.
Hmm.
And in that journey, how can I make my entire experience smooth? How can I optimize for performance? How can I optimize for cost control? Everything that is there. So from that point of view, like why, that is when merchants start thinking that okay, I need maybe multiple payment aggregators. One, to increase the availability of payment options on my checkout experience. Second, to get the best success rate, because higher success rate essentially means higher GMV, higher revenue, higher NPS, higher retention. We have seen these metrics, right? These are all interrelated. And third, I think, is the cost factor also that comes into picture. When you
Hmm.
scale, see, at a 1 to 10 scale, whether you are paying X percent or 0.9 of that X doesn't matter. But when you are at a very large scale, right, that 0.1% will start making that difference
Difference, yeah.
in the cost, right, in that cost metric. And that's where companies start thinking that okay, going multi-pay route will give them more control to negotiate, to get better performing PAs, and to get better cost as well, right? I think Mohan can then, like, I think we can now move. Now, in this context, when you have multi PGs, then you will need orchestration.
Yeah, correct. So now let's say a business has identified that they want to have multiple PA setup or multiple PG setup. Now, how do they go about it, or what are, let's say, the challenges which are there in getting that sort of a setup ready? So let's say anytime you think of adding a new PA to your stack, the first thing which you'll have to get is you have to arrange a army of developers and product managers who will go through that particular PA's documentation and all and integrate into that system. So that effort, that integration effort or development effort will always be there. Now, once multiple PAs have come into the picture, then this thing of, now that you have multiple PAs, now which transaction to route to which PA, then you have to start maintaining scalable routing logics. Since you have multiple PAs, each PA offers you a different dashboard to have access to their analytics. But now, since if I am a business product manager or a payments product manager in a company, I don't want to log into each of these PAs website and see, okay, what is the amount collected by them, what is by this, what is by y. So I'd want that there is unified analytics, unified payment analytics for me at one place. I also have to ensure that I'm on right side of compliance, PCI DSS compliance guidelines. We are all aware that how sacrosanct they are. And finally, the biggest thing, which is how do you solve for the disjoint checkout experience? uh, like we've seen, and Nitish would also agree, that we've seen websites where when you go to their checkout page, they clearly say pay by PA1, pay by PA2. To me as a user, I don't know what is this PA1 or PA2. All
Instead of choosing a payment method,
correct, yeah.
they redirect you, or they ask you to choose a payment aggregator.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
exactly. So now it becomes very important
Hmm.
that you provide the experience you are saying. "Okay, my user should see credit card, UPI, net banking, wallets,
Hmm.
rather than seeing pay by this or pay by that."
Hmm.
So yeah, these are the typical challenges which would come when you when multi PAs come into the picture, and this is essentially what an orchestrator solves.
Got it.
Yeah.
Since you've already spoken about the primary set of challenges, my question to you would be that generally, do you see organizations building this in house or looking out for a partner like Juspay or any other orchestrator or any other multi PA solution to take the ownership and do the handholding?
See, I would say that okay, uh, organizations have tried building it, and I think, as Mohan was pointing out, right, building it means that you need to have a full-fledged payments team.
Hmm.
It's not like that, okay, I will build it and that product is stable forever, because payments is anyway a evolving landscape.
Correct.
I'll give like recent examples, right? Tokenization in 2022 changed the entire game. Anyone who was building on their own had to change the entire stack, right? The PCI DSS compliance, for example, you need to renew it. It's not like once you get it and it is there forever. Similarly, your like say 3ds 2.0 that came by like by the card networks, right? All of that impact that is coming on the ecosystem, you need a team to absorb and
Absorb it.
implement that.
Makes
And
sense.
that team is not just product or just one dev or two devs. If you have three platforms, web, iOS, Android app, you need separate developers for those. You need product managers, you need designers to design that checkout experience. So I'm not saying companies have tried, but I think a company that, or any player that specializes in this, right, they have built that ecosystem so that they can absorb any shock well ahead in time, so that their merchants don't get impacted down the line, and their customers in turn do not get impacted by any of these shocks that come, or any changes that come in the ecosystem. So companies now have started preferring going towards that, okay, we will have a partner who connects this end to end, all the diversity, and unifies that diversity into a one single aspect. And that is what orchestration does, and that is why companies go for orchestration platforms.
Yeah. See, at the end of it, especially in the category which we are talking about, right?
Mm.
I want to focus on my core strength or core thing objective which I'm going to achieve. Let's say if I'm an e-commerce website, right? I'd want to focus on that rather than payments, which absolute is an absolute necessity.
Mm.
But since the complexities are so high, I'd rather give it to a specialized
Expert.
person,
Yeah.
or an expert,
Yeah.
rather than banging my head and figuring that out on my own.
Got it. Yeah, sure. Okay, so see here, largely we've spoken about the backend unifications, right? And to some extent, how critical it is to have a very streamlined and simplified checkout. So, given that these are equally important, having backend unifications yet simple and powerful checkout, many times it may happen that the business may not be aware of the design frameworks, right? At that point in time, how do we as an orchestrator, or how do other PSPs help businesses simplify this?
uh, yeah, I think I'll take the first, like,
Yeah.
see, he used a very interesting term, disjoint checkout experience, right? And the definition, one example was that, okay, you have to choose between specific PAs, but there are various other factors that can define this disjoint payment experience.
Hmm.
In order to improve, I think there are fundamental design principles that we have come across, right? But see, around like that can be implemented by companies to smoothen their checkout experience. Some of them are, one is just blending. If someone is on your website and they click on pay now, and they move to a completely new design language, completely new setup, right, which outside your website or app, right, it feels very different. That, okay, the customer's trust gets lost there. In fact, there are research reports that say that, okay, 20% of customers abandon their checkout if they are not, if the experience is not seamless. 60% abandon their purchase if they are taking, it is taking more than 2-3 minutes to complete payment, right? So that blending part is very important, that it has, the branding of that entire checkout experience has to be very consistent, so that the customer doesn't lose trust at the time of payment. See, that checkout screen is where a CAC, customer acquisition cost, translates into real revenue for a company.
Mm. Yeah.
So you would want to enforce as much trust as possible on that page. That's number one. And then there are things like native. We have seen that, okay, native integrations of payment page actually perform much better, right? So you have to go native. right? And then there are that, okay, you can build advanced checkout experiences on
What?
top.
Sorry to interrupt, but what do you mean by native? Like, what is? How do you define native?
So okay, I'll take that one. So native would essentially mean, see, primarily every, like there are Android, iOS, web, like these are the three prominent platforms which are available today, right? Now when someone has an Android app, uh, Android provides the basic framework of building the UI, the button, the text you see and all. That is one way you do it. That is what is native. The other one is, someone, a business can directly load whatever they have created for their desktop or mobile web. They can directly load it in their Android app. So that becomes the web part of it. So what we've seen is, and we've seen that there are both kind of players, for quicker go to market or for whatever business reasons or business calls. Some people would want to incorporate what they have created for their mobile web to their Android app, while someone will create it natively. So there is a definite performance difference or SR difference when it comes to payments done via native checkouts or done via, let's say, MWeb in an Android app. And in general, native, because you are uh, developing things, utilizing the capabilities of that framework itself, which is native to Android, you get more capabilities. So yeah, those are certain
It's
things.
meant for it.
Yeah, it's meant for it. Yeah,
Okay.
very well summarized. Yeah, it's meant for
Got
it.
it. Sure. Sure.
So I think on the
Mhm.
checkout experiences part, right? Like, what are these design frameworks? I think while these are fundamentals, right? Like, keep it the branding, blended, native. But I think there is something that over the top that you can do to make it seamless or delightful, right? I think that customer delight factor can come, say, by doing very small checkout experience things. For example, you can provide if a payment method is down,
Mm.
customer, you will avoid all the misclicks that happen. Customer will not choose that. You can just disable it, show that, okay, it is showing, it is not, it is experiencing fluctuation, showing
Fluctuations. Okay.
downtime, whatever, right?
Mm.
That is one way. Second, you can order the payment method, something very simple, right? Which the flexibility of a with that comes with any player that provides a good checkout experience is that I will order the payment methods in the way my customer wants. If I am a high ticket size merchant, right, I would provide credit card with EMI options on top. If I have a utility that, okay, most of my payments come via UPI, I will show all UPI apps on top, or most preferred UPI apps on top, something like that, right? So all of that reordering flexibility itself starts playing a role, right? I want uh, like one clear example of checkout improving over the ages was, see, if you remember earlier there were these wallets, right? And there was a redirection flow. If you
Mm.
click want to pay via one specific wallet, it will go to that specific app, you pay there and then come back to this app.
That's the redirection flow.
That's the
Yeah.
redirection flow.
Mm.
And that, because there's a hop involved, there's an additional hop involved, there will customers who will drop off, there will be issues in that payment step, and there will be loss of GMV and SR right there.
Mm.
But what's that is when these wallets started bringing link and pay flows, right?
Mm.
You show this amount right then and there to the customer. It's a very, it seems on the UI it's a very small thing, but that integration, that entire thing, an orchestration would have done all that integration so that their merchant don't have to do too much effort. It's just have to integrate and enable that flow on their UI, and so that those wallets come with the amount and the customer just have to click on pay and it will automatically get paid. There's truly one click, and there are more one click checkout experiences that can be built further.
And all of this is happening on the front end, like the checkout
Yes.
page where I, as a
Yeah.
customer, selects a payment method. These are the optimizations that can be brought in there.
Yes, you can further do retries. If a
Mm.
payment fails, you give a automatic option to the customer to retry. That, okay, right, you can provide something like saved payment methods, right? For your returning customers, it's always good to show saved payment methods on top so that they
Save
can.
payment method is wherein I have the provision to save some details of my recurring choice of payment
Yes,
method.
Correct. Yeah.
yes, with the consent of the user.
Yeah.
Of course, yes,
Right.
yes.
So all of those, these are small things that we have seen. Offers, people
Mm.
think that, okay, offers is easy, but I think offers, we have seen that, okay, it is easy but it is highly impactful.
Mm.
And but bringing offers on that context of that payment, that, okay, for this payment method you can apply this offer, this, it immediately nudges the user to speed up the entire payment process, that there's an offer going, let me use this and go ahead with that, right? So that all we have seen that, okay, increases the SR bit quite a lot. Okay.
And what are some of the key quantifiable metrics, right, to evaluate the benefits of the solution that we are speaking of?
See, in terms of metrics, see, for payments, the hero metric or the North Star has always been the success rate. So no matter whatever you do at back end or front end, eventually what a a product manager in the business team or at a business's end would track is whether my success rate increased or not. So that is that one North Star metric. So and the primary metric. But in addition to that, there are certain secondary metrics also which you track, which you can quantify these checkout enhancements, which or the features which Nitish mentioned about. So uh, a metric could be how much time the user spent in actually making a successful payment. So the metric which Nitish mentioned, right, 60% of users drop off if their checkout experience is greater than 2 minutes, takes greater than 2 minutes. Uh, so yeah, then that is a metric which is industry wide tracked. So features like quick pay, reordering the payment methods based on the user's preference or the saved payment methods actually helps bring that down. Then for us, a lot of focus has been on reducing the number of clicks it takes to make a successful payment.
Okay.
We've had a constant focus on, we call it one click payments. So under that one click payments, there are a lot of features which we tend to offer. So yeah, number of clicks is another metric which we happen to track. So these are the performance related metrics which are there. And apart from these, then there comes other sort of metrics like, let's say, an ops metric or developer costs. So a typical orchestration solution like ours would help over the years, right, would help save you 90% of your developer costs, because any change which happens, we are already building it for everyone out there in the market. You don't have to build it again. You are subscribed to us, so you get that as a package. uh, yeah, so those are the costs. I think I'll leave business and business related and ops metrics to Nitish. I think he'll do better justice to that.
Yeah, I think, see, for any company, right? So one is one time integration you have done, right? And then, but then comes the maintenance part of it. That maintenance could be of various types. One, say I want to add one more payment method, I want to add one more PA. All of that, if you're able to do with few clicks by just entering credentials, right, then that is easier. Versus you asking your entire developer team to go through the documentation, figure out a way to integrate it. That is another thing.
Another,
Another
essentially
integration.
repetitive steps.
Correct,
Correct.
correct. Right, so you like orchestration allows you to just plug and play. Okay, today I want to switch it off, today I want to switch it on. I want to route traffic wherever I want. So that comes with it, and essentially it reduces the dev efforts, as Mohan was saying, right? The second is the ops effort, right? Earlier we mentioned that, okay, multi PG mein there's a requirement that, okay, you will have to, otherwise if you are not using orchestration, you will have to go from each one dashboard to another to figure out the settlement reports, the SR reports, refund reports, chargebacks. All of these details are getting unified with an orchestrator. You get unified analytics of all your PAs in one single place. Performance, chargeback, events, whatever is the metric, they will be able to provide you in a one single place. So ops metrics go down significantly. Ops burden goes down significantly for those merchants, right? And third, I think the flexibility to release features quickly, right? Like if you want to change anything on front end, if you have an orchestrator or a flexible orchestrator rather, I think it will allow. And Juspay solution is something like that, right? Which does over the air updates. You do not need a SDK release full fledged to change something, a minor change on payment screen, right? So those kind of flexibilities also come. So this again puts back to the overall efforts required, maintenance efforts I would call it, right, that are required to run your payments, right? So you can run it like a independent. Essentially it works like that orchestration company or the solution works like an extended payments arm of your company, right?
Got it.
Yeah.
So essentially, we have spoken about backend in some context and front end in some context. So is there a solution, which can bundle all of this? And we realize that there are a lot of micro components to each of these vertical, right? So do we have a solution which can bundle all of this, unify it, and can be just offered as one, go-to solution for a business to take up and then just, allow focusing on their individual business requirements and let entities like Juspay or other PSPs handle all of this?
Yeah, I mean, see, one thing that industries have realized, like that okay, experience and orchestration are just two sides of one coin.
Hmm.
One cannot function about the other. You cannot tell a company that okay, I'll provide orchestration, but build a checkout of your own. If they wish, they can,
Hmm.
but at least from a offering point of view, you will have to provide a unified offering. And companies like all PSPs, all orchestrators are moving in that direction. In fact, we also launched Juspay HyperCheckout. Primarily, it's a unified offering of experience and orchestration, right? So that we can provide a bundled one, well, like as one single suite, all-in-one payment suite, as we call it, right? To elevate your experience, boost conversions, drive growth, right? So essentially, that is the fundamental. That yes, you take HyperCheckout, we'll give you whatever is best experiences that we are building from an from a checkout point of view, and we'll give you the enterprise grade routing algorithm which will route your payment towards success, right? That we have been building, that I was mentioning in the beginning, right? That we have built over the last 10 years,
Hmm.
that is available for any merchant to now use now, right?
Got it. Got it. Um, okay. Since we have something called as hyper checkout, which can be easily plugged in by the businesses, how easy it is to design a checkout experience? Do we have certain tools, or what is how? I mean, for example, if I as a business would want to opt in for it, what are the key, like the basic steps? How easy it is to configure? How easy it is to customize this? What are the basic steps I'll have to follow to sort of design my own checkout experience?
So see, there are three broad steps to integrating or getting hyper checkout onto your app or
Okay.
website. The first step, let's say we can start with designing the checkout, like you said, right? Are there any tools or anything available for that? So we have this product called Juspay Studio, which allows you to configure your checkout page in matter of few clicks,
Okay.
and all of that happens with the principles which Nitish mentioned. Those principles are like they are like the baseline of the checkout which Juspay Studio creates. So you land on Juspay Studio, we offer you multiple templates as per your business or as per your use case which you have. If you are a merchant or a business who has only, let's say you collect payments only via UPI, then we have a template which shows one payment method as the hero in the best possible way. Or if you are someone who has diverse set of customers who will pay via cards, UPI, net banking, wallets, everything, then we have multiple templates across that which can render those payment methods in the best possible way. So as a business, you choose the template which you want. Then you customize that template as per your brand and theme guidelines. uh, okay, you tell okay, my brand color is this, so my my checkout page header should be looking of this particular color, my font is this, these are my base font sizes and all. So all that you can configure as a next step in just matter of few clicks. Then finally, onto what you show on the payment method, you can choose whatever payment methods you want to show. You can choose in which order you want to show them. And in addition, you can also have contextual uh, display of those payment methods. For example, uh, let's say you are a e-commerce company, and you need to decide whether I need to show cash on delivery as an option to this user or not. So all you have to do is write a very simple rule on our Juspay Studio that, for example, if order amount is greater than 50,000, then don't show cash on delivery as an option.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are the three easy steps in which any business can configure their checkout experience as per their brand guidelines through the product called Juspay Studio. And there are similar products available for the other two legs as well, like configuring the PA which you have brought. Those are in matter of certain clicks by adding certain whatever fields are demanded by that underlying PA. We
Credentials,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, the credentials.
Okay.
You fill them in the easiest possible way,
Hmm.
and finally you integrate or do the minimal integration steps to host whatever now you have created in the first two steps into your app or website. Or we also have merchants who don't have app or website but have agents or fleet on street they have, so they can send those checkout pages which they have created as payment links onto their mobile apps, and they can start collecting payments from their customers.
So then this sounds like this is something that would not require an expertise per se, either in terms of design or in terms of payments altogether. If I'm very naive and new to the business, I still can configure my own checkout experience, which is very streamlined, very inbuilt and blendable with my business app or platform.
Correct. Yeah.
And within just a few clicks, I should be able to have my own checkout ready out there for the acceptance of payments.
Yeah, I mean, HyperCheckout was designed with this philosophy itself that,
Hmm.
okay, not every, as I was saying, not every company will have the most resources, whether it is in terms of people or time. Both are a resource in this day and age. I think uh, to do a very, or like, to do everything on their own, to design these advanced checkout experiences on their own and do orchestration. HyperCheckout's philosophy was that, okay, we'll have to build everything in a no code way.
Hmm.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
whatever he mentioned is essentially, it sounds complicated, but it is essentially a few clicks. And in itself, I think merchants are themselves are amazed to see that, okay, all of that they can just do it in a matter of few minutes. They can just sit and just take that, okay, this, and it is done. And that power or that control that we have provided using the new code suites of tools that under hyper checkout has really empowered and freed the merchant from any tension that comes in managing payments. They're like, I can do it. That gives them that confidence and encourage them to take hyper checkout, because I think it gives control of design, PG or PA addition, deletion, managing traffic, route adding, priority logics, for example. Once you have configured, you will require that, okay, I would want to route this traffic to this PA, UPI to one, credit cards to another, right? All of that is just a drag and drop, right? And that basically gives that flexibility to the merchant that anyone in the organization, who is managing this can do it. You don't need a specific expertise per se.
Correct.
Got it. Sure. I think this was a good discussion where we touched base upon certain challenges. I would say the first level challenges of payments industry, and the solutions that we have in the market, which can be directly used by the businesses to simplify all of that. Good session. Look forward to much more such discussions in the next set of our sessions. Thank you. Thank you, Mohan.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Thank you,
Nitish.
Pragya.
Pragya.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank
everyone.
you.